Good morning, everyone. Hope you are all doing well. Welcome to another Mando Lessons Live. My name is Baron Collins Hill. Good to see you all here. Happy Saturday. Once again, I'm looking for somebody who's here and it's not Saturday. That's my current goal. So, thank you all for tuning in. That was a tune called Shank. Great old-time tune in the key of A. It's the tune of the week, so we're going to jam around with that tune at the end of the hour and have fun with it. If you haven't been here before, first off, let us know in the chat. Chime in. I love seeing the chat go so fast that I can't even keep up with it. That always makes me happy when you're all talking to each other and talking to me. The way these work is it's an hour of Q&A, so throw out your questions. I love hearing what people are working on, what they've got questions about. No question is too advanced. No question is too simple. It's all fair game. I'm also happy to take requests as long as they're in the public domain and they're fiddle tunes and I know how to play them and all that good stuff. Let's see who we got in the chat. And maybe I'll have a morning question. What's your favorite color? Put that in the chat too. Dan, Mandolin Pirate, Jim, Denise, Lewis, Edward, Sheldon, Betsy, Joe, Kara, probably not saying your name correctly, I apologize, Alex, Robert, Kenneth, Keith, Mercedes, Taha, amazing. I like seeing some new faces here. Ursanos, Nina, Tamara, amazing. Well, welcome all. I hope you're having a great weekend so far, whatever time it is, and where you're tuning in from. I hope you got a mandolin in hand. All right, let's see. Where do we got folks tuning in from? California, Georgia, Michigan, Indiana, St. Louis Obispo, California. A question from Jim that I will get to in a second here. Minnesota, discovering some great bluegrass music from the Petersons. Yeah, I've seen some of their videos pop up on YouTube. Quite the family band. Ontario, south of England, Plymouth, Mass, Arizona, Cornwall, UK, wonderful. Philadelphia, Pune, India. Love to see folks tuning in from India. I was just listening to some mandolin Srinivas the other day, thinking about electric mandolins. Awesome. So I think Robin is Kara. So Robin's 11, been playing 7 months. Awesome. Yeah, I got a little carried away there on the Shank. Oh, Joe is still on Friday. That is an exciting. Oh wait, but you're also in SoCal. That doesn't make sense. I think your time zone is broken, Joe. Explain me that one. That one's got me mystified. Yeah, good to have you back, James. Glad you could make it. Happy day after my birthday. Awesome. Well, happy belated birthday, Ursanos. Germany. Excellent. Hey, Sisters, Oregon. Right down there. I've heard great things about Sisters. Haven't made it there yet. But I'm new to the West Coast, but I'm in Portland, so howdy, neighbor. Tamarat says turquoise is your favorite color. Glad to hear it. Great color. The home city of the Statler brothers. I do love the Statler brothers. I don't know where they're from, though. Friend and bandmate of mine on the East Coast grew up listening to the Statler brothers and knows a bunch of their songs, so we've been doing some of that. Can't remember right off the top of my head. It's a little too early and I haven't had enough coffee to remember specific songs. But hello from Greece. Excellent. Welcome. Colorado. Pennsylvania. Kenneth says, this week I learned swallowtail jig and turkey in the straw. And take 5. Awesome. Still trying to learn whiskey before breakfast. That B part. Yeah, that B part. Everybody plays the B part a little different. So if you come up with something that falls nicely under your fingers and you feel good about, yeah, just go for it. You don't need to do anything specific. Stanton, Virginia. I have been to Stanton. Great spot. Paradise by John Prine. Good stuff. Looks like you're all having a good time learning new music. Makes me happy to hear. So Jim had a question. Having trouble with kind of willing your shoulders to relax while playing, lose all sense of where your fingers are. That is totally normal. Same thing happens to me. I think, anytime, I think it's often a good marker if you can do something to sort of make you forget what's going on in these fingers. Because, obviously the music suffers, but that's what practice is for. So I would always run into that, training myself to, not plant my arm really tightly behind the bridge, which I did for a long time. And I, just to float. And at first it was like, how do I don't have any kind of hinge point, so how do I even know where my hands are going to be? Made everything feel really weird. But ultimately, you do get used to it. And I think the same idea with relaxing your shoulders. Just, play through a tune a couple times. Just try to relax your shoulders, and it might make the music suffer. That's totally fine. And then maybe also, start by doing just a phrase at a time and then relaxing your shoulders. Something like that. Just kind of play around with it. Obviously, if you're in more of a non-practice or a performance situation where you're practicing not stopping, which is a great thing to practice too. Practice getting back on the train and just kind of getting all the way through a tune a bunch of times. If that's the goal, then it's probably not the time to think about rolling your shoulders, because sometimes if you can't stop, you just gotta just realize, hey, I'm feeling a little tight. And then you just got to keep going. Oh, and maybe a good opportunity to request some whiskey before breakfast. Well, I got halfway through it. I'll play a little whiskey. There you go, a little kind of extrapolated version of Whiskey Before Breakfast. I never really played what I would call the skeleton of the tune the whole time, but sometimes that's what comes out of my fingers. Let's see here. Alex says, can't stop playing Irish music on the octave mandolin. Glad to get the mandolin. nice to get the mandolin out and play some Jim Shank. Yeah, Irish music on the octave is that's one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, Lewis hauled some of that Paradise. So yeah, the former engineer here. Did you work on the L&N, Lewis? Can't remember. But anyway, if that's a tune I love to play, is the L&N rag. Brian has a question that is very common. I'm having a problem keeping up and down strumming motion. Yeah, that just, I mean, the fact that you're working on it is great, and a lot of it just kind of takes time as you keep trying it and noticing when you kind of lose that kind of motor motion of this constant down, up. Just keep working on it and it will click over time. You know, I think one thing that has really helped me is, really overemphasize that movement, and it might mean that you hit a bunch of extra strings. So like if you're playing Whiskey Before Breakfast. Doesn't sound very good, but by really overemphasizing that movement in your right hand, it's a little easier for your brain to latch onto rather than this tiny little movement of just hitting one set of strings. As an exercise, just make your whole arm move, and it really, because then it's easier to kind of stay in that kind of motor, what I think of as like kind of a motor of your right hand just kind of doing a constant thing. Hectic sound, but it's a great thing to practice. King of the Fairies, great tune from Robin. I can never remember how to play that tune. I made a lesson for it, so it was a request that I never tend to run into that tune, but I should work on it again because it's a beautiful piece. Yeah, Tamara's got good advice. Keep going and it will come. That's kind of the way everything works. It's just keep trying. If you keep trying, you can't get worse. You know, just kind of keep thinking about what you want to be improving on, and noticing when you get off track, and just keep going, and it'll all work out. What copyrighted stuff would you love to play and teach on here if you could? I don't know. There's some like bluegrass. It's tricky with a lot of bluegrass. Because it sounds very traditional, and it's what a lot of people are interested in, and I love playing bluegrass, but so many of the bluegrass classics are recently composed. Any advice on an entry-level solid body electric mandolin to mess around with? Maybe people in the chat have. I'm kind of out of touch with the electric mandolin world. It's not here, it's back in Maine, but there was a period where I've had a couple electric mandolins over the years. I think none of them are able to be bought anymore, unfortunately. My main mandolin for a long time, I started out with a Johnson MA100, which is just an acoustic mandolin. I don't know if Johnson even makes mandolins anymore. But it was like, I don't know what the equivalent is. It was not a great mandolin. And then I went to a Fender, what is it? It was something 62 SE or something, SCE, which was this kind of like Stratocaster looking Fender electric mandolin, 8 strings, an acoustic, but it had a piezo bridge. I had that for a while. So that was the first electric mandolin. That was a fun mandolin. I don't have it anymore, but I used it a lot in college because it worked well in like jazz ensembles that I was playing in. But you can't buy that anymore. And then later on I built an electric 5-string mandolin kit that I don't have anymore. I sold it to a friend from the company Moongazer, which I believe Tom from Moongazer has passed away, so I don't think that's a company anymore. And then I currently have back in Maine, I have a Fender they did like a Mandocaster reissue. They made some electric mandolins in the 50s that are now very expensive, but they did a kind of reissue maybe 10 years ago, and I have one of those, but those don't come up that often. I think Eastwood is making some. I haven't played any Eastwood electric mandolins. I've played some of their like larger, like tenor guitar-y, octave mandolin-y things, and those are great. Those are good. Sometimes the necks are not exactly mandolin size, but I'm not particularly bothered by neck shape personally. Maybe people in the chat have some suggestions. I know that, I was just listening to a cool podcast or interview, maybe, there's a pickup builder, Almuse or Allmuse, who's been making mandolin-specific pickups for a long time. And then there's another guy who builds mandolins, recently changed his name to Bellmuse. And I've been looking at his electric mandolins. Those look cool. It seems like he's working on they're both over in England, but seems like they're working on some sort of standard, somewhat budget level stuff. But yeah, that's a good question for the Mandolin Cafe forum. Maybe people in the chat here now. Yeah, Ursula says, I'm still getting used to the fact that this style of music has so many variations of a tune, not just tempo changes or minor flourishes. Sometimes the tune doesn't even sound identifiable to me. Yeah, that's definitely... I mean, it can be confusing, but it can also be kind of liberating. Like, I think it is tricky because it's sort of like, oh, there's one of my favorite albums of all time is John Hartford, Hamilton Ironworks, the last album he ever recorded, and it's just a bunch of fiddle tunes that he like remembers learning throughout his life and telling stories about the characters that he learned these tunes from. And he never plays the tune the same way twice. And they're cool tunes, but they're hard for me to learn just because like they're kind of unique tunes that maybe I've only heard him play on this album and nobody else plays them. And he never plays the same tune twice. So I was like, how does this tune actually go? So sometimes you just need to kind of like listen to it a bunch and then let your ears guide you. So that can definitely be disorienting. At the same time, I find it kind of a little bit freeing because it's just sort of like, oh, like whatever I do isn't necessarily going to be wrong because everybody does it their own way. So I tend to like not worry too much about the specifics of kind of like what the right version of the tune is. And I think kind of allow myself to do whatever I want. And then if I'm in a setting where there's a lot of people playing the tune, I try to relearn in that moment anything that doesn't match my version of the tune. So I'm listening and saying, okay, so they're doing this here rather than what I do. Just to try to kind of like follow the group rather than play a bunch of notes that might not mesh well with the overall ensemble. Thank you, Joe, for the Super Chat donation. Really appreciate it. Super Chats, and there's a couple different ways to support me. Super Chat is really greatly appreciated, but there's also links in the description to PayPal, Patreon. There's a bunch of MandoLessons patrons here in the chat, and for anyone who supports me on Patreon at $5 a month or more, there's a patron-only live stream that happens once a month, and that is coming up tomorrow. So patrons, get your engines ready. That's not quite the saying, but you know what I mean. There's also links if you want maybe a mug with a mandolin headstock on it and a little MandoLessons logo. All the links in the description. Not necessarily required by any means, but greatly appreciated. All right, Lewis says, yes, former LNN. Ah, nice. So the super chat is for the coffee fund. Appreciate it. The coffee is definitely a key aspect of me doing these. I'm not a quick person to wake up, so even if I've been up for hours, often at 10 a.m. I'm still a little bit slow. Awesome. Robin says, my grandpa has a 100-year-old mandolin. That's amazing. Those are very cool old instruments. Yeah, I think probably me too. James says, whiskey before breakfast was my gateway drug into fiddle tunes. Probably me too. I mean, it's definitely, it's such a classic tune, and it's such a cool tune that is fairly common that definitely is one of the first ones that latched into my ears. Yeah, Paradise is a great tune. 3 chords, waltz time, and wide open for soloing and expanded melodies. Totally. Mando, yeah, are they still doing Mando birds? Jim says for electric mandolins, Mando birds. I've never actually played a Mando bird, but they make 4-string, or again, I'm kind of out of touch with the electric stuff. They made 4-string and 8-string versions. I don't know if they still do. If you get a 6-string electric, you get 2 bonus strings. Yeah, but I only have 4 fingers. How many fingers do you have, Kenneth? I don't know what to do with 6 strings. It's more strings than I got fingers. Godin electric mandolins. Stellar reviews. Eastman Elray is also, yeah. Those are not cheap. Those are like over $1,000. But I really want to try one of those Elrays. I would also love if they made a 5-string version of the Elray. That's my own. Eastman, if you're listening, please make me a 5-string. Hey, Jane, good to have you here. Better late than never. Seagull has an acoustic electric mandolin for $550. Cool. That's why I like looking in on the chat. You all know a lot more than I do. Speaking of podcasts, just discovered Get Up in the Cool. Yes, very cool podcast. Definitely recommended for anyone into old-time music. Kenneth says he's got a gold tone octave mandolin that plugs in. Does that count? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm assuming that's like the kind of bouzouki shape, or like, not flat top and back, oval hole, and it's got like a piezo pickup. Those definitely sound cool. I've got a couple instruments that have piezos, but then there's if people are looking specifically for kind of like the solid body thing, that's a whole different world. But if you're just looking for a way to plug into an amp, that's definitely, you could just put a piezo pickup on your mandolin, and then you have an electric mandolin. That's what I would do a lot, actually, is in college, when I wasn't playing that electric mandolin, I would actually just put the clip-on mic that I used to play acoustically, a little Audio-Technica kind of lavalier mic with a little gooseneck, so it just attaches to this. And that's an XLR cable, but then I just got an XLR to 1/4-inch adapter and then would plug that right into my amp. And I couldn't turn up super loud because it would feed back, but it was fun. It definitely gave me some options. Red Wing on the electric mandolin. Cool. It's a great tune. Do I make a living with music? I do, yeah. In non-pandemic times, I'm always working on MandoLessons. So a lot of online stuff, and then in non-pandemic times, I'm teaching at camps in person and playing gigs and weddings and contra dances and shows and things like that. And at this point, it's mostly the online stuff, doing a lot of online camps as well. But yeah, I feel very fortunate to have music be my main thing. Ursula says I've been getting a lot more practice in this week. Glad to hear it. Got one of those wall hooks for the mandolin. Yes, as you can see, I'm a big fan of the wall hook. Yeah, anything you can do to, like, even it doesn't take that long to get an instrument out of its case, but as you can see, I really like having my instruments out of the cases because it's just like anything you can do to remove a barrier to picking up an instrument and strumming it for even 5 seconds. Yeah, like, so Ursula says, pick up for little micro practice sessions. Yeah, so I've got like little stands all over the place. Like right off screen here, I've got a couple mandolins that I can just grab at any moment for these live streams. And yeah, so sometimes I'll just be sitting here and like gotta upload a video or something that only takes 30 seconds, but I'll pick up a mandolin and while that happens, and then, oh, it's done. All right, back to work. Slogging away on the computer. But yeah, anything you can do to have the mandolin out and, you're still safe. So if you got little kids or pets that might knock it over, That's why having it up on the wall can be nice, where a dog can't run into it, or if you got somewhere like I'm just in a room that pretty much I'm the only one that comes into, so I just leave them out on stands all over the place. But yeah, anything to remove the barriers, have a pick right in the strings, ready to go, hanging on a wall, pick it up, strum a chord, put it back. It's better than not playing at all. Ooh, Keith says, I just picked up a Revelation electric mandolin for 100 pounds, second hand. My main one is handmade. Ooh, cool. Who made your custom one, Keith? With built-in pickup. I'm starting to scheme about some kind of electric mandolin or something, so I'm gathering information. I do love music, Nina. It's all I really ever think about. Yeah, seeing the instrument makes you way more likely to pick it up. That's a good point. I never really thought about the visual aspect, because they're beautiful little machines. So if you look at it and say, "Hey, that's cool looking. I'm gonna play that." Yeah, working from home definitely gives you hopefully a little more time to practice. Although, in the pandemic, I haven't always been the most called to practice. Even though I got more time on my hands, sometimes I'm just not feeling picking up an instrument. But that's all right. It comes and goes. How many instruments can you play? Mostly just things with frets. So I play mandolin, guitar, clawhammer, banjo, electric versions of all those. That's the bulk of it. I'm working on pedal steel over there, pedal steel guitar. I play a little bit of button accordion, kind of Irish style or French style, depending on your familiarity with button accordions. But yeah, that's most of it. Mostly things with frets and picks. Cast Davy mandolins. Cool. I will definitely look that up. What have I been learning? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. What have I been learning? Not a whole lot. Like I said, sometimes I just don't. I've been playing some button accordion lately. That's a good question. I've been playing a lot of electric, so I'll get out of the way here for a second, but right down in there you can see I'm working on a new pedal board. That's kind of been taking a lot of my time, kind of nerding out over different pedals and figuring out how to get them all in the right order so I can make the sounds that I want to make. So it's kind of a different thing. I mostly just sit down there on the floor, hunkered over, rearranging pedals, trying to make them sound like I want to. I'm nearing the end of that project, and then I'll just have something that I can really get to know. But right now, it's kind of a mess. Every time I do a live stream, I have to push all these cables out of the way. So that's mostly what I'm doing at this point, is kind of electric stuff. A lot of kind of ambient, weird, bloopy electric stuff, looping little kind of musical phrases and then affecting them with pedals. So that's sort of what I've been learning and what's been inspiring me. Have I ever played in Georgia? I have. I played at a contra dance weekend called Catapult outside of Atlanta. I can't remember what town it was in. Only once though, but it was very fun. But I did a couple tours down the East Coast playing contra dances, but I only made it down to Georgia once. Can you play villains? Oh, I don't know villains. Can you give us an introduction? Oh, maybe violin. I don't play violin, no. I feel lucky that I get to play mandolin and guitar and banjo with a lot of really great violin fiddle players. So I get to hear a lot of great violin and fiddle music. But I don't play myself, no. An introduction to a Quebec tune. Sure. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, Quebec tunes are... I don't know exactly. I'm not an expert Quebecois musician. I like Quebec tunes. Some of them can sound fairly straight ahead. Some of them can be very crooked and twisty and not go exactly where you expect them to. I'll play a couple here. Here's a crooked tune to start out. B part. Try something else here. There's a couple Quebec tunes. Cool, Keith. I'm glad you liked that first one. What is that called? I believe this is called Real Andre Alain. A-L-A, Andre, A-N-D-R-E-A-L, and then his last name is Alain, which is A-L-A-I-N. I learned it from one of my favorite Quebec groups, one of them is sort of my Quebecois fiddle tune mentor. The group is La Tête de Violon, the Fiddleheads, and they have a couple albums mostly focusing on crooked Quebec tunes. And the second one, I don't know. Oh, what is the second one? The second one it's just like part of a quadrille from Joe Bouchard, I think. I don't have a name for that second one. That's one that I learned from my Quebecois fiddle tune mentor, Guy Bouchard. How is a button accordion with fiddle tunes? Very fun. Yeah, so the kind of button accordion that I play is, it's got, rather than like you'll see a accordion with like piano keys on one side and a bunch of buttons on the other, the one I play has kind of a lot of buttons on both sides and up and down the rows is just sort of a scale. So I have one, kind of like a harmonica, where one row is just like one harmonica, and it's a D row, so you get a D scale if you go, and it's a different note going in and out. So you get like D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Kind of harmonica style, and then you got some buttons on the left hand for some basses. It's very fun. If you want some nice button accordion fiddle music, look up Andy Cutting. He's one of my favorite button accordionists in kind of the English style. Or if you want some Quebecois button accordion, check out Sabin Jacques. Sabin is his first name. Jacqueus is his last name. Lots of good button accordion music out there. You can look up like Cajun. Every kind of music tends to have its own button accordion style. Check them out and see what you like. Can I play Red Wing? Sure. Betsy says, have you ever considered an interactive session like Zoom with patrons? I have been thinking about that exact thing. I would love to do that. I'm not... Yeah. I would like... I want to like kind of create a poll on Patreon and see what people prefer. Because I think it would be fun to get to like see you guys and have a little patron-only Zoom hang once a month. So yeah. Maybe I'll make a little poll about that. But also, if people really enjoy the kind of live stream version, I don't want to make that go away either. If that's more people's preference. But I personally would love to get to kind of see y'all and get to talk to you and hear what you're working on, things like that. All right, I think I'm mostly caught up. I'll play a little bit of Red Wing. And then if there's more questions, throw them at me. Let's keep the chat trucking. Red Wing. There's a little bit of that Red Wing for you. Great tune. All right. Cool. Gives them some interest in the zoom hang. I think that would be super fun on the Patreon side of things. Button accordion. Trickier to play. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, in some ways it is trickier because, you know, it's like different notes if you push or pull. But in some ways, you know, you just got a scale on one row. So it's, if you do hit a wrong note, it's usually in the scale and it doesn't sound too bad. And you get a really kind of interesting physical sensation of like scale degrees and whether they're a push or a pull note. So it's like, if you count up the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it kind of doubles back on 6 and 7. 6 is a pull, 7 is a pull, and 8, which is 1, is a push. So all your octaves are in the same direction. And you get an interesting sense of like, it's another physical sensation to add to kind of how you interact with scales and tunes and things like that. Greetings from Kentucky. Alan, good to have you here. Yeah, kind of, Lewis, I did start kind of getting weird with that Red Wing one. When the fit comes upon, yeah, that one kind of got away from me. I mean, it's a good exercise. You know, like pull a bunch of different things out of the tune. Great exercise to keep a tune rolling in your head and then like have your mandolin play along in funny little syncopated moments. Yeah, that's better than coffee to wake me up. Awesome. Johan from the Netherlands, good to have you here. Glad you enjoyed the tune. Say the name of the Crooked Quebec tune again. So the first tune in that Quebec set that I played is Real Andre Alain, which is A-L-A-I-N, his last name. And then the second tune I don't have a name for. I think it's I just know it as like a part of a quadrille, which is kind of a set of tunes, dance from Joe Bouchard, I believe, but that's really kind of stretching my knowledge. I learned that tune like 10 years ago and never had a name. Octave mandolin cittern tunes. Sure, I can pull that thing out. Tamlin, yeah, that would be fun to do a little kind of Tamlin patron session. Edward, thank you for the super chat. Says go buy more coffee. All right, your wish is my command. Hey Sherry, good to have you here. Glad you made it. Glasgow Reel. Accordions can be a bit dominant in a session. If you can't beat them, join them. That's true. That's when you either need an accordion or a tenor banjo. Did you look into the Battle for Hadrian's Wall by Black Country Communion? I don't know. I think I have a vague memory of maybe you asking that before, but I haven't looked into it. All right, a request for a cittern tune. I'll play a quick cittern tune, and then we're gonna have a little jam on old Jim Shank. Might not be super in tune, but we'll find out. Yeah, that's good enough. I hope it's, well, let me just check here. If I'm like really out, I want people to be able to play along if they want. I'm a little sharp. I'm just gonna roll with it. It's too many strings to tune. Have a good one, Lewis. Come on. So yeah, there's a little bouzouki, cittern, octave mandolin, little number. What is that tune? Coleman's March. A really nice tune to play around with cross-picking. Have fun, Lewis, at the jam, and see you tomorrow. Awesome. Robin says, my grandpa has a cittern. Sounds like your grandpa's got a bunch of great instruments. What tuning do you have on the cittern? So, it's... If you skip the lowest pitched sets of strings, it's G, D. So these, well, I'll just go from the bottom. So the lowest, I'll zoom in a little. So it's in courses, kind of like a 12-string guitar. So this lowest course is in octaves. So it's both; those are both Ds. And then G, also in octaves. And that G, that low G, is like an octave mandolin G. And then D, like an octave mandolin D. A, like an octave mandolin A. And then rather than E, like it would be an octave mandolin, I have a D on top. So it's G, D, A, D with a low D below it. So that lowest note D is like a D if you tuned your guitar to like drop D or dadgad. Thank you. Seeing a bunch of super chats roll in. Thank you so much. We should play the cittern more often. But no, really, appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Helps me keep doing these things. There's probably more for what tuning? Yeah, so yeah, the world of like naming these instruments is kind of strange because like cittern is technically like a medieval instrument that I know very little about. But it was kind of adopted in traditional folk music, like Irish music and Swedish music, to mean like a 5-string or 10-string 5-course instrument. This is a fairly common tuning. I mean, it's an uncommon instrument, and people do tune them various ways, but this is not unheard of. If you do have a cittern, this is one of the more common ways to tune it. Yeah, play it. Yep, it's essentially, yeah, I play it like a bouzouki with a low D course. And honestly, most of the time especially in Irish music, I don't even play the low D. Sometimes I don't even play the low G, and I'm just kind of on this, like Alec Finn, also Andy Irvine, Planxty. Those are all my heroes. But Alec Finn would either just play 3 sets of strings a lot, or even would just play a 6-string 3-chorus instrument that was just D A D. There's so much you can do just D-A-D that you can kind of... And then if there's a guitar player maybe playing a dadgad, they've already got that low register covered. So I mostly just kind of hang out on the D-A-D, capo around, have fun with it. Yeah, it's very kind of bouzouki inspired. It's pretty much, I play it like a bouzouki. Yeah, I would love to play sitar. I am a fan of David Lindley. One of my favorite albums that he was a part of was, I think he put together a compilation and produced an album called The Sweet Sunny North. And it's a compilation of a lot of Scandinavian kind of traditional folk music that's very beautiful. Andy, thank you so much for the super chat. And also, Johan, 10 strings. Yeah, I've got a thing for 10-string instruments. I like... it's a fun way to bend your brain a little bit. Hey, cool. Yeah, glad you had the zook ready for that Coleman. That's one of my favorite tunes to play on bouzouki and GDAD tuning, just because you can really get real wild with the cross picking. But I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Oh, I would love to be able to do Jolly Soldier and Plains of Kildare. That's kind of in the... That also gets a little funky with copyright because while the tunes are traditional, the arrangements are often copyrighted, like to really do it note for note the way Andy does. Nice. Johan plays 12-string guitar. I don't know ECO, but 12-string guitar is a very fun sound. Yeah, so if you put the D down to C, it would be like a mandocello. Cool, so let's play a little bit of Jim. I think I caught up with everything here. Let's play some Jim Shank and call it a day. Get the regular old mandolin out. Yeah, Jacob, the world of... I don't fault you for not thinking about copyright. It's such a weird world. That's why I just try to stay as far away from it as possible, as like intended copyright and copyright of arrangements, and it's very strange. Like it's a world of much gray area, especially when it comes to like YouTube. So I just step around it as far as I can. Just too bad, because there's a lot of great copyrighted music out there. Alright, a little Jim Shank. So, the way this works, it's like my play-along jam videos, if you've seen any of those. We'll pass the tune back and forth. It's Jim Shank in the key of A, old-time tune in 4. If you don't know the tune, just see if you can pick up a note here or there, or just strum along with the chords. It's all A, D, and E chords. If you do know the tune, maybe try to spice it up in a way that kind of challenges you wherever you're at. So if you're new to it, just try to pick it up as you go along. If you know the tune, see if you can add some double stops or hammer-ons and things like that. Just spice it up however you can. Challenge yourself wherever you're at, and we'll have fun with it. I'll start out by playing the chords. No, I'll start out by playing the melody. You play the chords. Then we'll swap. I'll play the chords, you play the melody. So 1, 2, 3, 4. B part. Take it. Here's the B part. B2. I'll take it. B part. Go for it. B part. B2. I'll take it. B part. You take us home. Go for it. B part. And what tune should we play next week? Here we go, going out. Always fun. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for the super chats and the PayPal donations and the buying of the merch. And all the patrons that are here. Patrons, see you tomorrow. Maybe we'll chat about, thinking about Zoom tomorrow as well. That would be fun. So, what tune should we play next week? That is the question. While I answer these last few questions and call it a day. Kabayath, apologies, probably not saying your name correctly. Is it just me or do mandolin players have an affinity for Gretsch electric guitars? Nicely, always going backwards here. Nicely spotted on the orange Duo Jet back there. I don't know what it is. Maybe the kind of Chet Atkins country influence. Also mandolin coming through in a lot of kind of more traditional music. Good question, but I love that thing's a lot of fun. What is a good tune to explore more of the neck? I would say any tune. Take a tune that you know. For example, Jim Shank. And rather than playing like in regular position, try like, okay, well, there's an E there. Start there and see if you can get it in that zone. And by using a tune that you already know, it'll be easier for you to kind of like figure out where that melody is falling rather than saying, is this how it goes? Is this how, take a tune that you already know really well that's not super notey and just, find your beginning phrase somewhere else on the instrument. So it starts on an E, put your pointer finger on the 7th fret of the A string. There's your new starting point. And yeah, well, I'm getting a little choppy here at the end. Hope everything's coming through. That was my suggestion for that tune. All right, we've got some good suggestions here. I'll pick one of these from the play along list. What do we got? Red Wing. I'm pretty sure we've done Red Wing, but let me check. Red Wing, yes. Episode 32 and episode 47. And there's also a play-along jam on the website. Tamlin. Hey, we have not done Tamlin. Let's do it. Next week, Tamlin, also known as the Glasgow Reel. Great stuff. All right, we'll see you all soon. Patrons, see you tomorrow. Keith, thanks for signing up on Patreon, and see you tomorrow. Thanks for the support. Hope you all have a great weekend. And yeah, keep on picking. Bye-bye.